Hey, what's up, everybody? We'll get going here in a second. Who can say that everyone live on YouTube right now talking through everyone join. I'll get started here in a second. Can someone just comment and let me know that you can hear me? We'll go from there. Oh, shit. Oh, that's funny. I see why it's doing that. Interesting. All right, cool. We'll get. I know I keep saying we'll get going in a second, but I promise. 1 second. Forgot to post something to Twitter. Twitter people are gonna be up in arms. GM2 snag. I do believe. All right, we can get going now. Taylor is the man. Maybe sometimes. All right, so potential for full gap up fill. Maybe. So get into the game plan real quick. Let's not pause that. Right, starting out with the SPXA complex. Like, I mean, it looks fine, right? I think key thing to know, the key line in the same was 67.75. We want to see that hold, kind of gapped right to that level. I think that's kind of where we opened. Where are we right now? We are at it's not letting me drag, weird. We're at 68.10, more or less. So we're above 6,800. That's a good kind of first sign intraday for the bulls. We'll get to that in a second. Right, all the metrics look fine. One thing to note, GEX ratio, trending lower, not what we want to see. Delta balance still looked fine. Key thing to note here, right? This is the summary of the 3D surface model. So looking at SPXA, it's still supportive even where we gap down to. Key sensitivity points are quite wide, so not super useful there. But right, just key takeaway here, still call dominated. Charm is still favorable. That right? That doesn't mean that short-term activity can't 100% overwhelm that structure. So just don't blindly go long in that single factor. But it's just kind of an important backdrop to know. SPXA obviously is massive, so that is going to have a good influence. Looking at SPXP. Again, transition zone bottom of that 68.35 confluence with 0 DT transitions. That's gonna be a key kind of upside level we get to. If we're able to continue to make progress intraday here above 6,800, that's going to be the key level to focus on. Yeah, I mean, we're still. This was pre-market, put dominated, all that good stuff. Just refreshing the dashboard real quick. Yeah, so I mean, here's an updated dashboard, right? Spot price right at 68.05, 68.10, sitting right above 6,800. That's kind of that key strike right now. A ton of downside convexity to that. So really want to see that hold. If you're a bull, that is, right. But transition zone. Really, if you're looking at that again, 68.35. So really, this is the key level we want to get above. Like, honestly, we could just have a reflexive bounce in the market. So that's one possibility, just given, all the, puts that are in the money that were not so at market close yesterday. So folks could be, monetizing those positions, taking profits and kind of just getting that initial relief bounce before the real activity starts. So we'll get to how we monitor that in a second. But again, just looking at SPXP, doesn't look good here. And, couple that with the market trend model, again, doesn't look great. Thing to know is we're not collapsing here. I mean, granted, short-term trend is still net lower, but kind of sideways consolidation. So not the end of the world per se, but we're certainly not seeing filter tick buying. We've seen filter tick selling on the session for the last 4 sessions. So really want to see that right to ship if you are bullish. So, right, what we've gone over, understand where the key levels are at, then understanding kind of what the key trend and market trend model, all that good stuff needs to look like to, swing trading environment be constructive again, because right now it is not. I wrote this morning, market trend model looks like garbage, quite a few on the put dominated list that I'll get to in a second. So not interested in swing trading right now. Environment is garbage. So if you're putting positions on, that's fine. But, just the way I think about it, I want it to be the easiest environment possible. And that's not it right now. So if we make a new uptrend, we'll be able to catch the meat of it, right? Now, I'm not super concerned about catching the exact turns. And if you are, kind of tough way to make a living there. But this is just a scatter plot looking at, put dominated stocks. As you can see, there's a ton. Generally, there are not this many. So yeah, that's just a lot of stocks here. So looking at the call dominate, it's a bit more sparse. This is just scatter plot, right? Transition levels on the x-axis plus or minus GEX on the y-axis. So this is just an easy way for us to understand, where kind of good risk to reward trades are. As an example, Lyft, like 10% upside with very little downside. I mean, it's right. It's transition zone. in a vacuum, that's fine. Just understand that the market environment's not great right now, so not super, interested in that. Or like Zim has like 7-3 upside to downside. So that's how you read that chart. Looking at kind of all the massive core stocks, a lot of them are below their transition zones right now. So, not necessarily ideal to see there. And you get all these stocks that are just, below. Around their in-trans level. Yeah, so let me know if you guys have any questions there. Happy to go over, individual stocks if you want to, all that good stuff. Although, most of them are probably going to be garbage right now. Look at NVIDIA, gap lower below P-trans. All that good stuff. Tesla, holding P-trans. Kind of one of the stronger stocks. Palantir must have, got smoked on earnings, but relative to the move it's had, that's like, okay, whatever. It's just pulling back here. Already kind of made a strong intraday move, kind of right around its 0 GEX level. So not crazy that it gaps down there. AMD holding its 0 GEX level basically to the penny. Cool to see. Kind of right around prior day lows. Hood. Yes, everything right now looks like it kind of, a little bit of a, push higher after that kind of overnight gap. But Amazon. Google, Microsoft, Oracle, Meta up on the day for once. Still getting smoked though. Coin getting smoked. RSP. Yes, I mean, no doubt right now, pretty strong. See if we can get above yesterday's close, or yesterday's low, I should say. Yeah, but I mean, the important thing I'm watching at least, is just seeing if the market tomorrow can start moving higher, right? Because if it starts moving higher, that's technically what we call a trigger day. And that'd be like a kind of a valid, dipping your toe in the water on a discretionary point of view. Right now, the bullish momentum signal's turned off, and so our long strategies are prohibited from entering. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of work for that signal to turn back on, but for a trigger day to happen, that's not crazy for it to be today. So I'll be monitoring that if we get signs of that. I mean, Vol M's constructive so far. Right, these are just the centroids, which, I mean, more or less is kind of just aggregate of kind of the average behavior of speculators through time so far. We can see call and puts both trending higher, so that's good to see. So, right, so long as this is happening, like, don't see massive downside move coming. We need to see, downside speculation from calls and puts for that's kind of the general signature we see there. Keep in mind it's still early in the session, though. So, yeah, I mean, HIMS looks like fine on an isolated point of view. I mean, it's just in a massive range right now in terms of price action. I mean, the market's doing fine. So, What else? I don't think I went over 0DT stuff. Let me get to that. 0DTE. So what we were saying, pre-market, we were gapping down. Oh, sorry. Right in this area. So whenever you have massive gaps in the structure, right? Like once you get up there, that's thin air, meaning, you know, in this case, there's no out of the money or in the money really calls left down here. So, you know, there's not a ton of fuel from, you know, people closing out those positions. So from this point going forward, what we need to see is, you know, incremental selling coming into the market that would give us confidence that we're going to continue to see kind of that downward trajectory, right? And what we were saying, market trend model and vol-am, our intraday volume analysis is what we'd be watching to detect that. Right now, we haven't seen it. Because if you think about it, right, transition zone's kind of the mean median. And then as you gap up or down, that rubber band gets really stretched. And so it kind of, wants to snap back through monetization. So that's the way that we think about it. So that's kind of what we said this morning was a risk is, some kind of relief rally higher, just given the nature of the gap down that we did see. So yeah, 6,800 was kind of the first key line, just looking at structure. And then above there, we'd be looking at bottom of transition zone, which was 68.35. And again, this is just an alternative view of what it looked like when we forced price to be at 67.80 in the pre-market. Again, those pillars, very obvious there, 80 sticking out, 35 sticking out, 50 to the downside was sticking out. This was our NetSat command. Again, these levels pretty consistent. Key sensitivity points, right? These are just summary of 3D surface models. So 68, 30, 35 to the upside, 750 to the downside. Looking at those now with spot price. Yeah, I mean, those levels really haven't changed. Charm is still technically a headwind here. Until we can get above kind of 30 and 35. Those are key sensitivity points to the upside. So if you haven't done anything on the long side, that's fine. Like, want to wait for confirmation to see if we can get above these key pillars. But yeah, I mean, still, everything looks fine for now. I'm still not doing anything right now. Just reason is, pretty significant gap lower. We're trading below prior day close right now. So in order to get long, I'd want to see, trade above that. And then maybe something up to like 35 or whatever. But yeah, I mean, market trend model is not super inspiring here either. This line right here is just 80, 6,800. Spreadsheet. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if there's anything else you want to look at. Yeah, it's okay. Maybe as a day trade. Whatever, we can look at pins real quick. Yeah, I mean, it looks fine, but It looks like that does not make any sense. And I spelled vacuum wrong, or whatever. Yep, 6,800 is key fulcrum level right now. So definitely still have charm as a headwind, but good progress right now. Good first step. Market trim model. It looks fine. RSP is ripping right now. RSP. 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 Bitcoin getting smoked, but oh, it's MTSR. Got it. I thought it was MSTR. About to say that would be weird. The MSTR is not doing too hot right now. I don't know if anyone in the chat knows, but isn't there like some point, just given the leverage that they have, where things start to not really work out from the math if they get below a certain level? Wow, JPM freaking ripping. That's crazy. Oh. All right, cool. Well, I don't really have a ton else right now. Yeah, I really don't. Kind of SPX is in no man's land a bit right now, just in between 6,800, 6,830, 35. Maybe see if we get a little bit of a retest at 6,800, then maybe a move higher, or we get a failure at 6,800. So again, that's kind of the key line in the sand right now. But I mean, I'm not making a trade, just kind of in no man's land. So let's see if we get some kind of confirmation of either the strength or weakness of that level is what I'll be focused on right now. In terms of single stocks, not really interested in doing much right now. So yeah, that's that. I appreciate the time, everybody, and yeah, I'll maybe try and do this again a little later on in the day. We'll just see how the market goes. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks for the time, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.